14 teams are in the NFL playoffs this year. 7 from the AFC, 7 from the NFC will be competing for a right to go to the Super Bowl and potentially win it. Now, as you know, the playoffs have changed in the last few years. The number one seed overall gets the bye, while seeds 2 through 7 will play on starting in the wild card round and hopefully ending in a Super Bowl. Now, without further ado, let's meet your Super Bowl matchups for the week, or for overall, I should say. First game is going to be the Chargers and the Texans. Now, this is an interesting game. This game is going to be played on Saturday at 3:30 Central Time. Chargers are favored by 3. And the over/under is 42 and a half. This is the first postseason matchup between these two teams. Now, I like the Chargers, and even though I'm in Dallas, I am kind of a Texans fan only because they're in Texas, Houston, Texas, and they're kind of a neighbor to us. Okay, they are a neighbor, but I like what Harbaugh and the Chargers are doing over there in LA. This is a tough matchup to predict. This game is a 3-point game with over under of 42 and a half. Ooh, I'm going to go with the Chargers over the Texans. Chargers will move on to the next round of the playoffs. Next up on Saturday, there's 2 games on Saturday. This next game is the Ravens and the Steelers. This one's at 7 o'clock Central Time. An AFC North matchup. Uh, Ravens are favored by 9.5. Over under is 43.5. This is the fifth matchup in the playoff series. The last playoff, or Steelers are leading the playoffs matchup 3-1. The last meeting was back in 2014 when the Ravens defeated the Steelers. Steelers have been kind of on a downhill spiral last few weeks, whereas the Ravens have been one of the hottest teams in the AFC. They don't have Zay Flowers this week. And for the Steelers, I don't know if it's going to be Russell Wilson. Probably going to be Russell Wilson or I think Trubisky. But I'm going with the Ravens. I think that's the most logical pick to have at this point. Ravens are the most dominant team in the AFC. But as they say, anything can happen in the NFL. We move to Sunday. Sunday we'll have 3 matchups, and it starts with the Buffalo Bills taking on the Denver Broncos. Buffalo Bills will be the home team for this matchup. This game will be played at noon Central. Bills are favored by 8.5, and the over/under is 46.5. Last playoff meeting was back in 1991 when the Bills defeated Broncos. Now you got the rookie Bo Nix going up against the other the other MVP quarterback, which was Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. Uh, the Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen, he's up there in the hunt for a MVP, even though he really wants the Super Bowl, which I would too. But I think the rookie's got it. I'm gonna go Bo Nix and the Broncos. That might be my last final words there. But I, even though Bills have the home field advantage, I feel like Bo Nix can win it. So I'm going to go with the Broncos on this one. Game 2 is a rematch of Week 1. You have the Philadelphia Eagles going up against the Green Bay Packers. And this game was played the first Friday of the NFL season in Brazil, I believe it was, where the Packers, I think, won that matchup. This is a different story, though, where this is the NFC wildcard matchup. The Packers or the Eagles are favored by 4.5, and the over/under is 45.5. This game will be played at 3:30. The upcoming matchup is the fourth in the postseason. Philadelphia had led the playoff series 2-1. You got Jalen Hurts and Jordan Love. Jordan Love's in his second year as a starting quarterback. Where you have Jalen Hurts, who's the wily veteran. This game's going to be played in Green Bay, Wisconsin. It's probably going to be cold. Not to say Philadelphia knows anything about cold, they do. But it is going to be played at historic Lambeau Field. Oh. This is a toss-up game to me. I don't like the Eagles. I don't like the Packers just based on sheer rivalry with Philadelphia and the playoff histories with Green Bay. I'm going to go with the Eagles on this one. I'm going to go with Philadelphia taking out Green Bay. And that leaves us with our final matchup of Saturday. You have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up against the Washington Commanders. This matchup was last played in the playoffs in 2020, where Tampa Bay won with Tom Brady. And, ultimately won the Super Bowl. Tampa Bay did. Buccaneers are favored by 3. And the over-under is 50.5. I don't think it's going to be that high of a score. But Tampa Bay leads the playoff series 2-1. I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring game, but I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. You got Minnesota taking on the Los Angeles Rams. Now, this game was originally going to be played in LA at SoFi Stadium, but due to wildfires in the area, we do pray for them and all their families and over there. But this is going to be a fun matchup. Take your mind off of things. This game's going to be played at 7 p.m. Vikings are favored by 1.5. And the over-under is 47.5. Again, like the previous matchup, I don't think it's going to go up to that score. But this game will be played in Arizona, like I mentioned. Let's see. The two teams have faced off 7 times, with the Vikings leading the playoff series 5-2. This is game number 8. Last meeting was back in '99 when the Rams defeated Minnesota. I believe that was back in the Greatest Show on Turf days with Kurt Warner. I'm going to go with the Vikings on this one. I'm going to say by 3. I'm going to go by 3 here. But you know what they say. It's going to be a fun matchup. It's going to be fun playoffs. Who's going to get the Detroit Lions in the NFC? And who's going to get the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC? One thing's for certain,